Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time visiting. My name's Tina Hurley. I'm the founder and CEO of Less Leg, More Heart. We're a nonprofit that helps amputees and essentially tries to just push wellness and bring vetted goods and services and inspirational stories and education segments to you so that you can hopefully live your best life and improve your quality of life and maybe learn things about opportunities or different types of therapeutic services that you had no idea even existed prior to watching the segment. So I have a really exciting guest with me today, and she offers a bunch of different services that I know very little about, but I'm so excited to explore alongside you. Without further ado, you guys, welcome, and thank you so much for being here. Rose Shear, thank you.
Thank you, Tina. It's so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm so excited. I actually met Rose. I was on an island for it's beautiful. It's called Fortland in South Maine, and you take a water taxi out, and you stay in yurts, and there's like sunrises and beautiful sunsets, and you overlook Portland Harbor, and it's like a dream. And she was there, and so we were chatting, and they have these really awesome magazines in this old like fortressy style thing, probably not fortressy style, probably an actual fortress. And it's all acoustic. And I remember walking into one, and it had the most beautiful echo. And I went, man, this would be so cool to have those like bowls, those things that make music. Naive Tina, I don't know a lot more about it, but just how nice it would feel. Or like one could have like lights and yoga. And I was thinking it, and I asked her, standing up on this big platform overlooking the sunset, and I said, hey, have you guys thought about doing this over here? She goes, that's actually what I do for a business. And so that's how I learned about Rose Colored Wellness. And I would love for you to share what you guys do, because you offer a whole range of therapeutic services that help people improve their wellness. So yeah, let people know what it is that you guys specialize in, and what brought you to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, so we specialize in, well, can't miss it here, the color aromatherapy, which we'll get into today, and also Yamana ball facial massages with these Yamana balls, and then Reiki and the sound healing. And yeah, so how I got into it was I was actually seeking out different modalities to recover from Lyme disease. Right. And I had this like really intense pain in my jaw and like a knot in my jaw, and discovered the Yamana balls, and then decided to get certified in it, and was just like really inspired, and come from a background of healing arts, with my grandmother is a psychic and herbalist, and my mother is a Reiki practitioner. So that kind of stuff just always spoke to me, and I just wanted to start a business. So I kind of like jump right in when I have ideas. So that's what started it.
I mean, that's amazing. So generational healing and intuitiveness and, connection and clairvoyancy and all these things. And then you have like what people would think is TMJ, right? Like some kind
Well,
of a
that's
jaw
what the
issue.
doctor told me. I
Right.
went into urgent care, and I was explaining that, and I even had a rash, and the doctor was like, yeah, I think you're having a TMJ flare up, even though I'd never been told I had TMJ. And he's like, and I think you have like wax in your ear or something. And that night is when it was the most painful.
Wow.
And I went back and then had a different doctor, and they were like, yes, you have Lyme disease.
Oh, wow. That's wild. So did the treatment of Lyme restore the jaw, or was it through additional things, wellness things, that it got better?
Well, initially, thankfully, I mean, with Lyme, you kind of have to do the antibiotics and really be serious about it. But to come back to like full health and to not feel as fatigued and things like that, it was the alternate wellness, yeah.
Oh, so neat. So she is located out of South Portland, Maine, and uh, thankfully she traveled all the way to Merrimack, little old Merrimack, New Hampshire, welcomes her. But I would love for you to share about this color aromatherapy, because I've heard of, and I've been educated about chakras, and we've had a couple of energy healers on set, but the amount of chakras, as you can see on your awesome leggings, are less than like all of these colors. So what is this all about, and how does it work?
Yeah, so it is based, part of it has to do with the chakras. And this woman, Constance Hart in California, created this modality. It was the first color aromatherapy in the country. And she, like I said, the baseline of the chakras, but then kind of divided it out. So the root chakra, you can see here, the red is actually divided into 3. So starting with pink, which is the more like starts at your feet. Because if you think too, like often for the root chakras, especially, it's like based at your root, like here. But we have like, well, you have legs.
Some longer than others.
And so, yeah, so the pink is for like your feet and like self-love. And then the deep red is more like around your like knees. And that's for like groundedness and abundance. And then the bright red is more for that like kind of energy center and that like fiery like root chakra.
Okay.
And then you have the gold, which is like your navel. It's kind of like a mini chakra. So there's 7 main ones, but there's like a lot more than 7.
Okay.
So she spread out the root, and then the gold is your navel, and then turquoise is your high heart chakra, which is another minor chakra between your heart and your throat. And then some of the other ones, the more ethereal, she spread out too, just to we'll kind of get into that later with the affirmations, but that's like the full spectrum.
It's so fun, and I know you guys can relate to this. When people come in and they have like such a deep knowledge base on things that they like glaze the surface, and you can watch them filtering to go, how do I simplify? How do I simplify? Like one of the smartest teachers I ever had in graduate school did the same thing, and you could just watch his wheels turning like, okay, how do I tease this down a bit? So I can appreciate what you're doing right now. So these things are related to physical locations, or is it more like, how would you describe it to the layperson that may not have much exposure with chakras and energy, as to how these things work? Or like, is it a geographic location, or is it more of a channel?
It's both, and so all of these colors and the chakras specifically do govern physical parts of our body, but they also are a part of our energy systems too. So when you hear chakras, that is very much like an energy center, and the 7 main ones going from the base of your spine, or in this modality including your legs, all the way up to the top of your head. And then as far as the physical location, it's basically hand in hand. One thing that people often forget is like including, your arms, if you have them, and otherwise it's
Thank you for that.
Otherwise it's energetically. I mean, even your leg, like you can probably talk a lot about that with like feeling that energy still. So it's still, whether they're physically there or not, you include like, the elbows on this meridian too. You can't just like, even if you might not physically have the limb, you can't just forget about something that was there,
right?
If you were born with one.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you incorporate these, or how do people know whether this is something that they should pursue? I imagine that there's applicable ways for everybody with all sorts of different conditions, or even just that feel okay but want to feel better. So like, what are the indications for it?
Yeah, so you can see this lovely image right here. This is what I typically use at the beginning of a color aromatherapy session, and we do a color meditation. So that's one thing that gives me information, and through the color meditation, I get some information from the client about what's speaking to them. And I'd say 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, once they're on the table and I'm doing my energetic assessment, the energy assessment, it does correlate with like where they're feeling like something might be off. And when I check the energy centers, it could be out of balance, it could be underactive or overactive, and it could just be needing that support, and that's where the conscious colors come in.
So it's like a knee brace for the energy?
Kind of. Yeah.
Good. So all right, so you do a consult that you guide someone through, and you're able to tell sort of where there's support that's needed, or what's speaking to them. And when you say what's speaking to them, do you mean physically, emotionally?
It could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be mental, it could be spiritual.
And these have applications for all of that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give us an example? Or I'm sure you have so many, but walk us through a scenario.
Okay, so I had, and I can say he's a friend of mine, and so when I was actually like, practicing on people before I wanted to make that official step and start, having clients through the door, he came in, and I don't think, because it was an official session, I can't remember if I actually did a proper intake, so I didn't exactly know what was going on. And then, so we did the the meditation, and he was, after the meditation, he told me he was drawn to like this area, which is like the deep red. And then once he got on the table, yes, I found energetically like that was needing extra support. And then afterwards, or at some point during the session, also learned that he was like recovering from like an injury with his knee.
Okay.
And so his body, was telling him, or not just obviously his body, but like his mind, his whole energy system was telling him like, this is where I need kind of like healing support. And so with these, well, I'll wait.
No, I was going to comment about what you're saying because I feel like the pace that we go, right? The typical American that's out there multitasking, because that's the way the world like makes us do things, unfortunately. And the standard is like my porch has to be decorated for Halloween, and I have to make the Pinterest, bat cookies and all these things. But we don't really stop ever to check in with ourselves. And so like we know we're recovering from a knee issue, but we may not appreciate the way that we are affected by it, the way we're receiving it, the way it's communicating, as you mentioned. And the most powerful times and also challenging times of my life has been when life has halted me. Like post-amputation, I was so busy going fast my whole life, achieving and moving, and probably busy coping with all this previous stressors of my life by staying busy to distract, that it was a tidal wave that caught me. And it was only then in the stillness, which was so tremendously uncomfortable in the beginning, that I felt stuff or even like checked in with myself. So I think just the power of just the assessment that you're working through in and of itself, like helping people connect with themselves again, because I feel like we've lost a lot of that connection with ourselves until we make it intentional. So let's talk about this. These are sprays?
So these are sprays, and down here, I don't know if the camera can see, but there's also just oils. And the sprays are nice because they can be like, you can spray them in your room to kind of have the energy like around. In general, the sprays are more for like your aura and kind of energy, like the outside in, and how people might like perceive you. And then, coming to something like this, I might spray like turquoise and I am inspiring, and say that, which we'll get into the affirmations.
Okay.
But and then the oils are more, you would rub them and put them on your body, and then we'll get into the affirmations. But yeah, so sprays and oils.
So the piece of affirmations tied to the oil and the intentional like meditative pieces, what does that add? Or like why sort of mantras or affirmations?
Yeah, so you have, the healing of the color principle, like the color therapy principles healing, combined with, therapeutic aromatherapy, and like the sense is really impactful, like sensory. Some of our most impactful memories come from like a smell that we remember, and the most
PTSD.
lasting memories,
Yeah.
for better or worse. So those two really important therapies, coupled with the affirmation, that kind of gets you out of your thinking mind, and sort of that's what, if you repeat the affirmations with the sense and the color aroma, and the colors, visualizing the colors, that's when real like long-lasting change can happen. So it could be just like, throughout your day, I'm tired, I'm going to do one that's more energizing. Or it could be like when you come in for a session, it's because there's just something that might be like getting at you. You might know what it is, you might not. And then that's when we really dive in and actually ultimately come up with a prescription per se that has the different affirmations coupled with the scents and the colors. And so that's like the trifecta, if you will.
Wow, so powerful. For people that haven't tried it, I did it the wrong way. I always learn the hard way, but like after the amputation, I had Louise Hay's 21-day mirror work, where essentially it was my first introduction to affirmation stuff, right? And you like look, and it's like day one, and you like sit with the book and you look in the mirror and you read these things, and they're positive, uplifting, confidence building sort of statements that you do not feel as you're reading them, but like you are convincing yourself that you feel.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it was so foreign to me. But then I also had some essential oils that a friend of mine used. I probably used them wrong and like wasn't wasn't intentional about them. It's just that they smelled nice and I was told that they would make me feel good. But having someone to guide you through those pieces that's specific to what it is that you have to heal, I think is really amazing, because I have a missed opportunity in my life that I could have really used that, and I didn't even know that this sort of trifecta therapy existed. So I'm so excited that we're here to let people know that they're not alone and they don't have to piece stuff together haphazardly, that may have lower therapeutic outcomes when they've got people that have done this like generationally and have these great things that they're working with. So tell me about the affirmation space. You were mentioning that we could talk through it, but do you have any kind of like demos, or did you want to try things? How do you want to best showcase the work that you do?
Yeah, so if you don't mind me sharing with our viewers, you were mentioning, with your child at home, you maybe been a little tired and whatnot. So,
Mamas, can you feel me? I don't know what you mean, Rose.
So, for that, we could do a little energizing oil.
Oh, yeah. Do you sniff it? Do you drink it? What do you do?
So we'll see. So this is bright red.
Oh.
And I'll put it on your hands,
Okay.
and you'll kind of rub them together. And then when you inhale, I'll guide you what to say.
Okay. I'm really excited. Okay.
So don't be afraid. Once you inhale, and you can think, you can say it out loud for this, or just say it quietly to yourself. And as you inhale, like, I am energetic. I have all the energy I need for the day.
I am energetic. I have all the energy I need for the day.
And picture the color bright red, kind of at the base of your spine, swirling all around. And yeah, I'll come back when you're ready. No.
I don't want to come back.
Are you still here?
Oh, we're still on set. Whoa. That just felt nice to pause for a second. Oh, that's nice. I feel like, I might actually feel a little bit more energetic, but maybe it's because I was able to just take a pause. I really forgot I was here. I really did. That's so fun. So if you want some magic oil, that's awesome.
And then you might want to be feeling a little more balanced. So green is like right in the center. Like this, you can just spray, and I'll take some of that too. I am balanced.
I am balanced.
Balanced with giving and receiving.
Balanced with giving and receiving.
Doing and being.
Doing and being.
Loving myself and loving others.
Loving myself and loving others.
And picture the green ray right at your heart center and the back of your back body, right around the same area, and your like upper arms. As you breathe in the color green. So that's an example of the aroma.
So before you said, imagine a red swirly thing at the base of your spine, and before you said breathe in the color green, I saw those colors. I was like seeing red before you said it. And I felt green before you said green.
Yeah.
Do you find that that's common?
Yeah. And that's where Constance Hart, who created this, she spent a long time. She's like many years of a color therapist, which I am not like specifically a color therapist.
Okay.
It is a segment of this that I learned for color aroma. So between that and her knowledge of the chakras and teaching yoga and whatnot, she spent a couple years designing this, which included each of these like smelling the color, and hence like color aroma. So she gave these colors like scents, so to speak. So when you smell blue, you're like, that's blue.
Yeah.
And you smell, and so each of them have like 3 essential oils, and then grapeseed oil is the carrier oil.
Okay. No,
And so like,
powerful.
yeah, you're like, and now that I'm so engulfed in it, even today getting ready for this, like I wasn't even spraying the oils, but I like could smell, hence the like scent memory.
Oh, cool.
So I'm like, oh, I can smell yellow. I know that's for like confidence. Like I'm confident. I'm smelling, even just like driving in the car. Like, of course, you kind of need these, but because I have that background, I can even just like
Pavlov,
infuse
right?
it.
Pavlov and conditioning with the dog. Do you remember that back in like high school? if my teacher's still around, he's going to be so proud. Like, look at this student coming full round to Merrimack TV talking about the theories I taught her. It was psychology. It was 11th grade. I don't remember the teacher, but essentially taught us about Pavlov dog, where you conditioning responses, where you ring a bell and the dog eats food. You ring a bell, the dog eats food, and then you ring a bell, the dog doesn't, or you don't ring the bell, but the dog like salivates because he thinks he's going to get the food. You guys can look it up. Anyway, it was the same concept to me as you were describing it, is like you've conditioned yourself to like feel something, smell something, to be in touch with your senses when you're trying to invoke a certain state of being.
Yeah,
and
shift that emotion.
Yeah.
Like it's really like.
And it's interesting because some of the methods of PTSD training are like, they always say like, find 5 things you can look at if you're having like anxiety or panic or triggers. Find 5 things that you can see. What do you see? Find 4 things you can touch. Find 3 things that you can hear. Find 2 things that you can smell. 1 thing that you can taste, or whatever the variation of that is. And essentially, it's all to take you out of the spinning, living in the past, thinking about the past or the future worry, and like pulling yourself to the present. And I feel like this, in a similar way, does the same thing. And if you could believe it, I actually do feel more grounded and energetic. I really do. Like, I wouldn't lie to you guys. That's.
No, I believe you. I mean, my husband, he's an engineer, he's very analytical.
Wow.
And like, we haven't done this in a little bit, but when I was first getting into it, and he would say he's tired. Like, I mean, I believe that red is as good as like a cup of coffee. And so,
great.
halfway through his day, he would do it. And then, a few minutes later, he's like, no, I literally am not tired anymore. I'm like, you're not just saying this? Like, no. And he's like the first to like not believe it. So
same thing. I really would be like, maybe the nozzle's not working. No, I really feel great. So do you have like a wealthy and babysitter spray, like Bountiful Babysitter? What do you have for that?
No, I mean, definitely you would combine them for different, either shifts or manifesting. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you have like a leg regrowth spray? Or is that?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So awesome. This is so we've done some of the implications, but like, so what would be, if you have medical things? So now we've talked about like, we're tired and we feel we need to be grounded. Are there any sprays that assist with things like inflammation or headaches or congestion or aches and pains?
Yeah. So, congestion, they kind of correlate with like where that is in your body. So that's like up here, right? So, with the pale blue, you can, spray it, or do what you did with the red and inhale and picture the blue, say, I am peaceful, I am calm. And so if you have kind of, you said sinuses or something?
They're speaking to me.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So that would clear that. Not only the pale blue color is like peace and calm, and that would like help subside that a little bit. But then the turquoise, which is the high heart chakra, which is also up in that region, has peppermint in it. And peppermint is like really huge for like calming that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, absolutely, like headaches, if you have headaches. I mean, also just some of it is intuitive. You think, oh, lavender's purple, lavender's calming in general. And so, yeah, up here you have not just lavender, right, because they each have 3, but that's up in the purple and pale violet in this region. So that's also not only going to calm you because it has lavender and those other things that she put in there, but that'll help with the headache. So yeah, it's funny. It's like when you start to think about it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Is there any contraindication?
And so like, oh, sorry.
Oh, no. I was going to say, is there any contraindication to like taking all of them and putting them like in a little bit of bath water? But like really, I know you're laughing, but like really, if they all work for things, would you want to do all of them at the same time? Or are you supposed to be selective about what you use?
I mean, that's a good question. I've never actually put them in the bath or talked about that. But yeah, it's nice to be a little selective, just to have that kind of narrower focus of like whatever the shift is. And then usually when you're working through something, it's like 3 to 5, colors and either oils or sprays.
Okay.
And you have that prescription that after a session you take home that has like the meditation with the colors, the scents, and the affirmations. And once those feel like that issue has been resolved or moved through, then it's time for like another session to see like what other. So there is something to be said. And there's also another layer is it's not always as simple as the color that's associated with that region. It could be the opposite color. So if you're familiar with the color wheel, sometimes we actually need, if it's like overactive actually, or we need more cooling in a place where that same color is actually more energizing, we'll need like the opposite. So like the opposite of red is green. So that's interesting that I pulled both for you. Maybe you're needing kind of that both like equilibrium to balance each other out.
Huh. It's fascinating. I bet there's so much you could learn, and there's such a rabbit hole that you could just tumble down with this kind of stuff. But I think you answer the question perfectly. You could use all the things, but how much energy and intentionality can you give to each of them if you're using too many? And I feel like that's a thing that I know that I do, and other people do in life too. It's like you bite off sort of all the things, or you take on more than you can kind of give to.
And you want to be able to smell the individual scents too. Like even in a session, like I have wipes that I wipe my hands with. If I'm the one rubbing and holding it over their face, if they're like on the treatment table to smell it, you want to be able to smell individually. But as far as the energy, if you put them in a bath, like it's not going to be bad.
It's not going to hurt you, but you're not going to get the most out of the experience. Well, that was wild. So wonderful. If people want to learn more about color aromatherapy, where can they find information about the business?
About my business?
Yeah, Rose Colored Wellness.
Yeah, you can find information on my website.
Yeah,
rosecoloredwellness.com, and on Instagram. And like you said, I'm located in South Portland, Maine, so that's where the location is, right there.
I can't say enough about this. You guys have to. I wish you could feel like I had those little gauges that show like energy fields. Like you would see, like I was in the red. I was just like ticking back here, and then I feel like I'm way up here. I almost remember I was saying I was going to grab a coffee before the segment.
Did you?
I didn't, and I don't need to. Look at me, I'm like, I can't. Awesome stuff. What else? Do you have anything else that you would want to share with our viewers that are kind of getting this introductory class on the color aromatherapy, or do you feel like we kind of covered a lot of the major points?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of the major points, and you can never have too much color in your life. So there's a reason why rainbows invoke joy and happiness.
Love that. Well, there's also a reason that I picked this bright yellow shirt, because I knew that we were doing this segment. I was just feeling the vibrancy of what was to come. So if you guys want to find out more information about Rose and her multi-generational healing practice, Rose Colored Wellness, you can go to her website, rosecoloredwellness.com. As she mentioned, she has an awesome social media. I really love the Instagram stuff. It's just really inspiring just to learn about all the different things, and to know that there's people out there caring for folks in the right way. I'm still like rubbing my hands together because this grapeseed oil feels so good. So anyway, thank you so much for stopping by, and as always, you guys come back soon and put your best foot forward.